Hello, welcome to Jenson Yoga. I am Christine Jenson, your yoga teacher, and today's class is a Yin and meditation style class. So if you're not familiar with Yin, Yin is a slower class. We only do a few poses and that's it. And I'm gonna put us into a pose or it's a deeper stretch and you hang out there for a while. We use props to help us hang out in those poses a bit longer so that our body isn't feeling a ton of tension necessarily when we're in the posture. We're hoping that we can get into that deeper pose and allow our body to open up and soften into the pose. And again, if you haven't ever done Yin before, that might sound really weird, but give it a shot and see how it feels for you. So we do use a lot of props, like I said, for this type of class. And if you don't have these exact props, try to find something that will substitute for it. So a bolster is a great yoga prop to have. If you don't have one, I highly suggest getting one. It's kind of a thick, dense pillow. So if you have one of those, make sure that's handy. You'll want to have 2 yoga blocks or something that can act as yoga blocks, sometimes folded up blankets or books or thick pillows could work for that too. And then a blanket. So I have a blanket that is, it's technically called a yoga blanket because it's made in such a way that you can fold it up and have it be a really sturdy prop that you can use to assist through your yoga practice. And I'm actually sitting on it. Whenever I'm sitting in my yoga classes, I sit on the edge of a folded up blanket because that helps put my pelvis in a better alignment. So those are the props that I would like for you to have handy today. So if you need to pause to go grab all that, please do so. And then we will get ready for class to start. So like I said, we're gonna only be in a few poses today. They're not gonna be a lot of them, and you just get into it and you hang out there. So this might be a great class that you have some music playing next to you just to let your mind drift and not be worried of sitting here in silence with me on video. And today's sequence that I'm gonna teach you guys is my chakra based sequence. So if you don't know what a chakra is, chakras are the energy centers in the body. They start at our root or at the tailbone and work their way up through to the crown of the head. And so we're gonna be doing postures that open up that part of our energy center, and they can heal it, they can open it, they can just balance it out, whatever it is your body's needing today. So when you're ready, find a comfortable seat. Allow your hands to rest wherever it's comfortable. So it might be on your knees, it might be resting in your lap. And if it feels okay for you, gently close your eyes or bring your gaze down towards the floor. Begin taking deeper, fuller breaths. Letting your awareness draw in closer to your body. So letting your awareness be focused on your breath, feeling it as it moves in through the nose, filling the lungs and the belly. And when you exhale, try to release every last drop by drawing your navel towards the spine. And then take another inhale. And use this time here at the beginning as we ground and center ourselves to check in with how you're feeling physically. Maybe take a really conscious scan from the top of your head and work your way down the body all the way eventually down to your toes, and take inventory to see if there's any spot, any areas that are feeling sore or tight. And as you discover any of those spots, send some love and compassion towards that area. Because our bodies are miracles in motion. They are taking us through every moment of our day, keeping us here. And this is your time to offer up a lot of gratitude and respect for this beautiful body, knowing that its aches and pains are there because it's working so hard to keep you here. And then check in with your brain. Maybe it's still feeling really busy, jumping from thought to thought, or thinking about what you might need to do later today or the rest of your week. And not beating yourself up for having that busy brain. Notice it, acknowledge it, and then see if you can let those thoughts go. Every time a new thought emerges, you can notice it and then come back to the breath and let the thought go, because there's nothing you need to do for the next hour except to be right here in your body, taking care of your mind, body, and spirit through a yoga practice. When you feel ready, gently blink your eyes open. Let's start with our first posture. We're going to do butterfly pose. It's also known as cobbler's pose. And to come into that, again, if you have a folded blanket or something that you can sit on the edge of, please do that. And then you're going to bring the soles of your feet together like this and let your knees open up wide. Blocks could be placed under your knees or under your thighs to give you a little bit of support, because again, we're going to be hanging out here and we're going to really be leaning into the inner hip, and the props will help you to soften into the pose as you're hanging out here for a little while. The next prop, the bolster, can come in really handy here. I'm going to show you a couple different ways that you can use it. You can tuck it up and hug it in. So it's resting on my feet right now, if you can see that. And I kind of have it tucked in with my chin resting on it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to lean forward into the posture. And that's where the bolster can give you the support for the upper body as you're doing this. Now, I'm really flexible in this way, but not all of you are. So this might feel totally great for you. And this is the limit of what your body's allowing you to fold into. If you can fold a bit more, you can lay the bolster out like this. So it's just flat. It's up near my inner hips and then laying out in front of me. From here, I lift through the crown of my head and then I bring myself forward, lowering myself down, resting my forehead on the bolster. Now, this is the healthy spot for me to be in this posture for a couple of minutes. If this is too intense, but the other way is not intense enough, you'll bring yourself up a little bit, stack your fists. So make fists, stack them on top of each other, and bring your forehead to rest on there. So that's a nice medium point for this posture. So find whichever version works for you and bring yourself down into that pose, allowing your body to soften. And that might take a minute for your body to release into this posture. So continue with the deep breath. See if you can relax your shoulders down. I'm wiggling mine around a little bit. And know that you can always make adjustments. If it becomes too intense for your legs, you could turn the blocks up to a higher height so that your legs are supported a little bit higher up. Or maybe you find after a minute that you can go even deeper and you could take the blocks away completely and allow your knees to open up further towards the floor. So Yin gives you the time to really play with a pose and see where your body will take you today. And since this is a chakra-based practice, this first pose is to activate our root chakra. So the chakra that is at the very base of your spine, the very base of your torso. So as you're here, visualize energy swirling way down at that part of your body, and visualize the color red and grounding down to the earth. Maybe you can visualize roots coming out and climbing down into the earth to keep you here and supported. Your mind will start to wander. That's totally normal. Just again, see if you can keep coming back to the breath. We're going to begin to make our way out of this posture. So when we come out of a Yin pose, we take it slow. Because as I mentioned, we're getting into those deeper tissues and fascia of the body. So you don't want to come out of that posture quickly. That's when you could snap or pull one of those very precious tendons in the body. So on an inhale, slowly bring yourself upright. take the bolster, move it off to the side. And then bring your hands to your knees. And slowly bring your knees back to center. Just take a couple of moments here. Notice the sensation of that area that we just stretched out. The energy rushes back in. So it's nice to just take a moment of pause. And then gently rock your knees back and forth. And the next pose we're going to do is a pigeon pose. And I'm going to offer it up from a reclined or supine version because I like to hang out in these yin postures for a longer period of time. And a traditional pigeon where we're facing forward and lying face down on the mat, that can be really intense on our hip, our outer hip. So I'm going to offer it from the supine or reclined version so that it's a bit more accessible, especially when you're hanging out in there for more than a minute. So to come into pigeon pose, you can take your folded up blanket or a pillow, lay it at the head of your mat, and then come down onto your back. And make some adjustments here. I like to roll the blanket a little bit so that I feel like the curvature of my neck is fully supported. The knees are bent here. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your left ankle and cross it over your right knee. And just allow the left knee to open up here. Now, again, this might be enough of a stretch or engagement for you. You want to be feeling this in the outer left hip. So perhaps you are feeling enough with it in this position. If you want to take it deeper, lift your right leg up and draw it closer towards your chest. And then you bring your hands around your thigh, clasping your hands around your thigh and drawing that leg in further until you feel enough engagement in the outer left hip. And this is where we're going to hang out for a couple of minutes at least. So as you're hanging out here, you could keep your leg lifted up and maybe roll out your ankle and point and flex your foot. You could keep your knee bent and just hug everything in, or you could play with it, all of that. You've got time here. So with pigeon pose, we activate our sacral chakra, which is the chakra that is just a couple inches above our root chakra. It's below the navel. It is an energy center that is signified with the color orange. So you can visualize a spinning orange light at your chakra. And this energy center is in charge of our feelings of not only pleasure, but creativity and savoring life. So savoring wonderful foods or savoring, having the ability to savor, even a beautiful sunset, just, thoroughly enjoying life. So if that's an area that maybe is something that you feel stuck in or is just not at a level that you would like, just visualize that you're opening up that space. See that orange light spinning, and perhaps visualize it growing and stretching out from the body. hanging out here for a little bit longer. And we're going to begin to make our way out. So if your leg is lifted up, your right leg, start to bring your right foot back down, releasing your hands from your right thigh. Slowly uncross your left ankle from your right knee. Again, pause. Feel the energy in that left hip. And then just, again, a little bit of swaying of the knees. And then we're going to take it to the other side. So this time, right ankle crosses the left knee. Allow the right knee to open up wide. This might be where you stay. Or if you'd like to take it deeper, bring the left leg up, drawing it towards the body, hugging it in. And then taking any of those options with your legs stretched up and rolling out your foot or pointing, flexing, or keeping your knee bent, whatever works for you. And with Pigeon Pose, I will notice very distinctly that it feels differently from one side to the other. So my right side tends to be tighter than my left. And that is very true today. I can really feel this in my right hip. And so that's information that my body's giving me. And I know that I do not want to bring my body to the point of pain ever when it comes to yoga. It's finding what I like to call the healthy edge. So I allow myself to come into the posture right to that point where I know it's safe in my body, but yet I'm giving it a little bit of a challenge. And that's going to be different for everyone. And it's going to be different pretty much every day. And the beauty with yoga, especially a slow practice like this, is that it gives us the time to really tap in and notice these things. So we're still working on the sacral chakra when we're here in this Yin pigeon pose. So once again, bring the awareness in to that energy center of the body. Beautiful orange spinning light right below the navel. We're here for about 30 more seconds. And let's begin to make our way out. So bringing our left foot all the way back down onto the mat slowly, uncrossing our right ankle slowly, pausing, feeling that energy move into the right outer hip, and then gently rocking our knees back and forth a few times. Our next posture that we're going to come into is for the solar plexus chakra, which is located right around the diaphragm, right below the breastbone, kind of where my fingers are resting at the moment. And this chakra is signified with the color yellow. So bright yellow energy blooming from the center of your torso. To activate that, we're going to do a spinal twist posture with emphasis being on that stretch and opening happening at the solar plexus. So you're going to take your arms and you're going to bring them out onto the floor, either like cactus arms or open them up like a T if you have space for that. Bring your knees up towards your chest and then release both knees over to the left and turn your gaze to the right. Now, since we're going to be hanging out here for a couple of minutes, at least on each side, it might feel comfortable to you to bring a bolster into this, and I will demonstrate that. So you can lay the bolster on the side and then let your legs come over and rest on that. So it gives you a little bit of support while you're here. But maybe you don't need that, or maybe after a minute, you won't need it and your knees can go further down towards the floor. So again, this is your time that you can kind of play with the posture and see what works in your body today. So again, bringing awareness into the center of your torso, right at your diaphragm, right below the rib cage. See that yellow light. And our solar plexus is where we hold our self-worth, our confidence, our assuredness in ourselves. And it's not meant to be thinking that you're better than anyone else. It's about knowing that you matter and that you're valued and that you have something to give to this world. So see that blossom and open. See that light swirling around. And let yourself sink into the posture at your body's pace. And let's start to bring ourselves back to center. So slowly bringing your knees back. Let's bring our arms around our legs, hug them in gently and rock a little bit side to side. And then when it feels right to you, you can take this posture to the other side. So the arms open up. If you want to use the bolster, move that over to the right side of your mat. Arms open up onto the floor. And then both knees release over to the right and you turn your gaze over to the left. Visualizing the yellow light once again. And let's begin to bring ourselves back to center, drawing our knees back, bringing our arms around to hug them in, feeling that energy rush back in to the mid abdomen, and then rocking a little bit side to side. And then we're going to rock ourselves forward. So you might start to rock forward and back, giving yourself some momentum to come all the way up. And we are going to move into our next posture, which is going to be for our heart chakra. So for that, we're going to do what's called Dolphin Pose. I'm just thinking, this is what I do. If you don't normally practice with me, sometimes I change my mind. You know what? Yeah, I'm going to change my mind. We're not going to do Dolphin Pose. We're going to do Thread the Needle Pose, because that is going to feel really good in our back, especially with the openings that we just did with the spinal twists. So trust me, it's good. So you can move the bolster off to the side. We are going to be in a tabletop posture for this. So you might want to open up a blanket and lay it out on your mat to give your knees a little bit of cushioning. And then we come into tabletop pose. So knees are under our hips, our wrists are under our shoulders. And we're trying to keep a neutral spine. So I'm not one that will advocate for a straight spine. I advocate for a natural spine. So we have a natural curve in our spine, and I want you to honor that curve rather than forcing it into shapes that it does not naturally want to go into. So when you're in tabletop, just let your body be natural here. And that includes actually drawing in your core a little bit, not sucking in so you can't breathe, but drawing in the core a little bit, engaging it so that you're feeling a protective wrap come around the midsection and around the low back, so that we keep everything safe and pulled together as we move into this posture. So for Thread the Needle, from tabletop, as you inhale, you're going to sweep your left arm up. Exhale, you're going to draw that arm back down and through. And you're going to bring your left ear down towards the mat. Now, if it's too hard to keep your left ear down towards the mat, you could have a block and rest your head on that. So let me demonstrate with that. So left arm sweeps up, and then I draw it through. letting my head rest on that block. That might feel more comfortable for you. So give that a shot if it seems like that might work. I'm going to move it out of the way though for me. Now, once you're here, yes, our tailbone is sticking straight up. That's okay. We're all friends, right? And what you're going to do, and I'm tucking my shirt so you don't have to see anything more than you really need to. With your right hand, you can reach all the way up towards the top of the mat. You can also reach at the small of your back and just let your hand rest back here, or you can just let it rest in front of your face. I like to bring mine up at the top because it really gives me a good stretch through this shoulder blade, and it just feels really good in my body. But what we're focusing on here is this arm that's on the floor, this left hand, this left arm. So you want to keep reaching with your left fingertips when you're here and opening up that space between the left shoulder blade and the spine. So our heart chakra, you might think, well, we're not opening up the front of our chest. Well, the chakras are on the front and the back side of our bodies. So we are working our heart chakra. We're just opening and activating it through the back of the energy center. So heart chakra signified by green. So visualizing a green swirling light right up in the center of your chest. And it's our energy house of love and compassion. And it's not only our ability to give love and compassion to others, which most of us find pretty easy to do. It's really also about being able to accept love and compassion, which might be harder for you. And then knowing that you are worthy of that love and compassion and giving it to yourself, which might even be harder for a lot of us. So just hang out here for a few more breaths. And we're going to start to work our way out. So you bring your right hand back by your face if it wasn't there already. Make sure the core is engaged. And as you inhale, draw that left arm out, up, and then bring it back down. And let's find tabletop again. So stacking our joints, making sure the core is engaged. Let's do 3 rounds of a cow-cat posture. That helps to neutralize our spine as we go from pose to pose. So cow pose is as you inhale, you draw your belly down, you tilt your tailbone back, and you look up. So you're creating a bowl shape with your spine. Exhale, we come into cat pose. So you're drawing your spine up towards the ceiling. You're tucking your tail, tucking your chin. Inhale, bring yourself back into cow. Nice and slow. Exhale into cat. And one more round like that. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Coming back into that neutral, centered tabletop posture. We're going to thread the needle to the other side. So on an inhale, the right arm sweeps up. As you exhale, draw that right arm through, right ear coming down onto the mat or onto a block. And then putting your left hand where it feels right to you. Again, it could be by your face. It could be resting on the small of your back. It could be reaching up to the top of the mat. Allowing your awareness to come back into that heart chakra. This time, let your focus be also on opening the space between the right shoulder blade and the spine. And let that beautiful green swirling light radiate out and surround yourself with unconditional love Let's prepare to come out. So the left hand comes back by your face. Your core draws in a little bit to keep you secure. And then as you inhale, you bring your right arm out nice and slow, and then bring it up. Exhale, we're back in tabletop. 3 more rounds of cow and cat. So inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Again. And then from here, let's rest in child's pose for a few breaths. So your knees can open up wide, your heels draw in towards each other. You bring your sit bones back and let your upper body come to rest. Now, I had my arm lifted up towards the top of the mat while I was in thread the needle pose. And so for me, what would feel good here as I'm resting in child's pose is to wrap my arms down and let my hands rest down by my feet to allow my shoulders some release, because they were really activated while in that thread the needle posture. So see if that feels good for you. Otherwise, you could let your hands just rest in front of you. Feel your breath spread across your back. And then we'll come out of the posture. So bring yourself upright. We are going to do Sphinx Pose next to help open up our throat chakra. So excuse me as I adjust my clothing. I just want to flip this around. So for Sphinx Pose, a bolster will be very handy for you. You're going to lay that across your mat towards the front of your mat. You can keep your blanket opened up onto your mat if you like, because we're going to be lying face down on the bolster and having the blanket might help just give you a little bit of cushioning under your knees again. So if you want, just watch me for a moment and then you can come into the posture when you're ready. So I'm going to carefully bring myself down, resting my chest on the bolster. And you might need to adjust this a little bit. So you might need to bring it up a little bit or bring it back a little bit. Just play with that. And you'll see my legs are just stretched out behind me. Now, I'm here, I'm lying on the bolster. I'm going to bring my arms down onto the mat. And this is where I start to play with it some more. So you can see I'm kind of moving forward and back a little bit. And I want to bring my hands down on the floor. And ideally, I have my joints not totally lined up here. I want my elbows to be a little bit in front of my shoulders, if possible. My feet and legs, I'm trying to keep as relaxed as possible. So I'm just letting my feet roll to the outside. Hands resting gently on the mat. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift up through the crown of my head. So my shoulders have come out of my ears and I'm lifting up through the crown of my head, and I'm lifting, opening up my throat slightly. So I'm not cranking my head way back. I don't want to have that unnatural curve in my cervical spine. I'm extending through the crown of the head and letting my throat draw forward for the throat chakra. And we're not going to hang here super long because this can be pretty intense. I mean, we're doing a back bend here and there's just a lot of action in sensitive parts of our body. So once you're here, let your awareness come into that throat area. And the throat chakra is signified with blue light. So you could see and visualize the blue swirling light radiating out from your throat center. And this is where we house our ability to communicate, to speak with honesty and integrity, and to know that our voice matters, that what we have to say is important, and to give us the pause so that we use our words and our voice in a way that creates more connection rather than disconnection in this world. Okay, we're gonna come out from this posture. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna come out of it slowly and go back into a child's pose. But I'm gonna give you the heads up that as we move into child's pose, we're gonna come into a version of child's pose that will activate the next chakra. So just listen, it's gonna be mostly the same type of child's pose that you're used to, but I'm gonna give you a cue with your hands that will help us activate that third eye chakra. So to come out from Sphinx Pose, you're going to walk your hands back towards you. Again, core engaged. Please keep the spine strong and safe. Lift up. And then start to gently bring your knees towards you. Walk your hands back. We're going to move the bolster off. And then we're going to come into that child's pose again. So the knees open up wide. Heels come down, or I'm sorry, heels, sit bones come down onto your heels. And then we're going to bring ourselves forward, but this time we're going to bring our hands into prayer, place them on the mat, and we're going to rest our thumbs right into our third eye, that spot between the eyebrows. So make your way there. Allow the thumbs to put some pressure into that third eye center. Now, the third eye is much like it sounds. It is where we house our intuition, where we trust our inner voice. We trust our instincts. And it is signified with indigo light. So a swirling indigo light radiating out from the third eye of the body. Just let yourself sink into this. Let your tailbone draw down towards your heels. And if after you've been here for a little while, you find that maybe the lower half of your legs are not feeling so great, or maybe even your feet are starting to fall asleep, that is really common. You can come out of the posture slightly and take a bolster and lay it between your calves and the back of your thighs. So kind of lifting up the seat a little bit, and then just bring yourself back down in to the third eye activated child's pose. And we're going to start to come out. So bringing yourself back up. First into tabletop. If you have that bolster under your thighs, you can take that out. And now we get to move into Shavasana, final resting pose. And that is also going to activate the crown chakra up at the top of the head. So to come into Shavasana, have a pillow or folded blanket, again, to put under your head. You can bring a bolster across the mat to rest your legs on. If you need to put on some extra layers, a sweatshirt, socks, maybe a blanket so that you stay warm and comfy, please do that. And when you're ready, come and lie back and adjust those props until they're just right for you. Once you're here, allow your body to relax, allow the joints to release. Allow the crown of the head, that energy center right off of the crown of the head, to open up with beautiful white light. Spinning, luminous white energy. The energy center that reminds us that we are all connected. We are all one. And then if you like, you could just allow your breath to move up and down the body and perhaps visualize each of those energy centers as you go, a beautiful rainbow of light moving up and down your body. As you relax here, allowing the entirety of our practice to fully integrate into your body, mind, and spirit. And let's begin to bring our awareness back into our bodies. Noticing yourself lying here on the mat. Sensing the space around you, the floor and the walls. And start to gently wiggle your fingers and toes. And then let that movement increase as you're ready. It might mean rolling your wrists and ankles, rocking your head side to side, and maybe bending your knees, bringing your feet onto the mat and rocking them once again. And I always like to stretch my arms up overhead like I woke up from a great nap, and then roll over onto my side, letting my head rest on my arms for a few breaths here, just allowing myself some time to transition up. And when I'm ready, I use my hands to help draw me back upright, finding a seated position. Whenever you get here, I invite you to bring your hands into prayer and bow your chin. You're in no rush though, so get here when you can. And then I always seal our practices with time for gratitude. So gratitude for these bodies that are so beautiful and amazing, honoring every breath and every heartbeat. Gratitude towards yourself. You made it onto the mat today. You did a practice that is so important for your body, your mind, and your spirit. So give yourself a lot of credit for taking care of yourself today. And then there is always so much appreciation and gratitude coming from me for allowing me to be a guide in your yoga journey. I am always honored when anyone wants to take a class with me. It is truly such a privilege to be able to do this for a living. So I hope you can feel my sincere gratitude coming your way. Let's bring our thumbs up to the third eye center, that seat of enlightenment. May we know our true nature as love. May we be blessed and open to receive all the forms of love as balms to our aching hearts. May we heal together. May we rise together. And may we love until we are nothing but dust. The light in the teacher in me honors the light in the teacher in you. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me for this yin and meditation style class. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm not sure if it was picked up or not, but right at the end, my dogs started to bark upstairs. So if that happened, I hope it didn't totally throw you off. That's the joy of teaching in a COVID world where we're all at home together, right? So I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And I hope you found that this practice provided some ease, some good stretching, and the time to really tap in and take care of yourself. So thank you.